What is the worst type of woman that you could ever be divorced from? That's the question everybody has been asking. But actually, I don't know if everybody or even many people have been asking that. But if you happen to be one of the people who do ask that question, I suppose you are the group who does ask that question. So, let's get into it.
All right, what is up, my brothers? So in this video, I have this clip that was forwarded to me of an expert family lawyer who's warning men about the kind of women that cause problems in her practice. And this is a female, by the way, that's
the kind of women who cause problems. Well, if you're watching this old Rich Cooper's videos here, you might find there would be no type of woman who wouldn't cause or stir up the pot, so to speak. But anyway, we'll let her play on out here.
Divulging this information. It's about a 2-minute clip, so let's just play it, and then I'll add some commentary on it, on what I think.
I debated posting this because I know how bad it's going to be when people get this answer from me. But there were so many people that asked that I decided, after a lot of thought and consideration, that I will go ahead and respond to the most asked question from my last video, which is, what professions in women should men avoid? And a lot of you thought that...
She's giving it quite a build-up here, little dramatics.
Those same professions for men that I told you to avoid would translate to women, and they really don't. I don't think that there's enough data out there.
You mean men and women are different? Blasphemy. Blasphemy. Now, before she gets into it, I would be curious to know, what is it that you think is the number one profession that you would not want to be divorced from? Common ones you hear are, of course, doctors and nurses, naturally, are very high up on the list, but dog walkers, perhaps? Female plumbers? Let's take a listen. Write down in the comments.
For me to comment on that, but
with the best Halloween.
Oh, of course. As soon as I say that, they want to run this goddamn ad on here. Get out of there.
I've had one military female client who was pretty difficult, but other than that, I've not seen any correlation in those same professions. But I went through my case list, and if you have a problem with me giving an introduction to this, then just scroll along, because I'm about to hurt a lot of people, so I'm going to
get to it, woman.
What I have to say. And you're going to have to listen to it if you want.
Longer intros than I do.
I went through my case list, and there's about 60 cases on my case list. And there are some common professions that I see in women. The most common one that I see is teacher. The second most common is nurse. But those cases are not cases where the female is really difficult or litigious or anything like that. They're just kind of run-of-the-mill cases.
Now, what that means is those professions she just named there, teachers and nurses, get divorced often. But she's not saying they are of a high conflict variety. So the question here is not just which ones are divorced more often than others here. No, not at all. It is, which do you think, when being separated and divorced, cause the most amount of trouble here? Which ones are going to be throwing your furniture out on the lawn, going to be setting your clothes on fire, things of that nature, going to be cooking the family dog up in the stew pot, that sort of thing. Which does change the realm a little bit, does it not? Because we are not talking, oh, she wanted to be club, go out and live her best life, get out there, back on the carousels, they say. No, we're talking about which ones are going to make your life, or try to make your life, a living hell on it. Which ones indeed?
The most common profession that I see in the female parties in my divorces, and this is over 13 years of cases. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Is stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mothers, the number one profession out there, leading to high conflict divorces. Let's let it trickle on a little bit more.
Hate me. I know y'all are going to hate me, but let me explain why. Number one, when you're divorcing a stay-at-home mom, they are paralyzed with fear. and rightfully so, because their whole life is going to change. They are going to have to go back to the workforce. They're going to have to possibly move. Their finances are about to be very different. There's lots of things that they don't know financially about what's going on. And so they tend to stick their head in the sand and stall. And so the cases become very contested and very expensive. The second...
Well, doesn't that make sense now? If they are the most dependent, you would anticipate they would be the most worried about what might happen afterward. So the panicked nature sets in there. And as a result, perhaps that triggers something a little more visceral or something a little more animalistic inside that they draws out of them, acted in that state. Compared to others who have their own job, own career already, and they think, I go on a dating site, I have 1,000 other men messaging me here by the end of the night, and I can pay for it. Where the other ones, sure, they can have men messaging them, but they don't have all the other elements and aspects of life in order, do they?
Reason that I see that stay-at-home moms end up being the most common profession in a divorce is that I think there's a tendency, and this is completely my opinion, just based on my observations, they tend to focus so much on the children, and the husband focuses so much on career that they first of all, they don't feel appreciated by one another. But the husband starts feeling like an ATM, and the wife becomes completely focused on the children.
Now, I wonder here, she said stay at home. Is it mother? Is it housewife? Now, if they are a stay-at-home housewife and don't work, is that the same degree of conflict that you would expect? Or is it the ones with children who have the most combative natures? What if they are school age and all going to school? So then housewife would be at home for many hours a day with not really anything going on. Would that have the same amount of conflict to it? A lot of variables in here that are not quite factored into this exact moment. However, I think the picture is pretty clear.
And they tend to grow apart. So I think that's why it's the most common. That's not hate, just an observation. It's probably my last TikTok. So see ya.
All right, then. So let's find out.
She goes on dramatizing that again. Oh, I said stay-at-home mothers are the most combative, high-conflict women in the world. I can't make any more videos now. I mean, what is she hoping to get out of that? A little bit of fear-mongering from there? What, are you going to be a barrage of stay-at-home mothers on the chat? You think I'm going to go and do this? You think I'm going to do... Anyway, let's hear what old fellow bald man Rich Cooper has to say on the matter here.
Let's have a conversation about her findings then, which are interesting. She's essentially saying that if you're a father and you keep your wife at home, those are the most expensive and contested divorces that you can find yourself in based on her family law practice. Now,
there's tacos. Then there's Zaxby's
Good Lord,
chicken
Rich,
finger
how
tacos.
many? Okay,
Get them any
I'm
way
using
you
the
want.
clip here.
Chipotle ranch.
I think it runs his ad.
first things first is that doesn't sound like a huge sample size. I think she said 60 cases, if I'm not mistaken,
60.
which is not massive, but it's not small either. I don't know that I would lean on that too heavily, but based on her experience in her practice where she lives, because I mean, they, like, when family lawyers deal with divorces, they're dealing with pockets, right? Like, they'll work with a demographic within a certain city, within a radius, because there's still some face-to-face, even though a lot of it's handled by Zoom now or over phone calls. But it's still relevant to mention that a lot of guys, especially the TradCon crew, love telling dudes to, keep the wife at home, put a bunch of...
Now, he gets into this here, kind of running down the TradCons as if that is anything to do with it. Saying, oh, yeah, they tell you to keep your woman at home. Now, if you do, look what's going to happen. You'll wind up the most contested, combative ones. And it really kind of goes a few steps before that, I imagine. Quite a few. Quite a number. Where just because you keep a woman at home and pay for her doesn't guarantee anything at all, does it? They have a certain nature to going into it. They'll have probably that same nature going out of it. So it comes down to the selection process initially. And that is probably the most difficult part of the equation here. So anyway, I'm not going to rant too much longer on it here. I'll leave the link down. Mr. Rich Cooper, Alpha Unplugged. Check out the book. I'll give you a little promo for using your clip there, Richie. Anyway, who would have thought? Number one profession, stay-at-home mother, or is it housewife in general? Anyway, if you've had any kind of experience on that, maybe write down your rants in below, because we all know the best kind we get are those angry, embittered sorts down. Well, how dare you say that? Don't you ever come around here putting that in my internet. Stay off there, you bald bastard. High quality, things like that. Just brighten my day. It's like, that's how all this ray of sunshine just illuminates the back of my skull. Look at that. Look at that fine, smooth, slightly sunburned, but all the same, handsome devil. Now, until we meet again, friends, GHOSTMAS is going to go save the world. I got some games to play. You know, that's what I do all day long. Make a few rants, and I go off and, oh, coming around the corner, look out now. Till next time, boys and gals.